You're not seeing things. This is actually an update, a very different update. And I wanted to talk about this because of what it actually consists of. And I just think that this person has a real problem. This alleged mother has a really deep rooted problem. And I just think that she is going above and beyond stupid to inflict damage, pain, mental distress on children that she produced. Okay. And I think this is quite disgusting, even more disgusting than the nasty apartment that she created for these kids and the environment. You guys can see the pictures. But nonetheless, I'm going to give you two portions of this update. Okay. So let's get into the details. Let me give you a disclaimer and then we'll go ahead and get going. Some viewers may find the following content offensive and controversial. The information in this video comes from multiple sources, including court records, official police charges, news web articles, and interviews. This video commentary also contains my personal opinions about the facts of this story. The point is to use this story as a cautionary tale in hopes of preventing tragedies like these to children going forward. Viewer discretion is advised. That is your official disclaimer. So both of these updates are coming from Fox 2 Detroit, so thank you for the article. Now, a judge suspended the communication privileges for a Pontiac mother accused of abandoning her 5 children. Well, actually, her children, it was 3, but I think she had 4 or 5, whatever. Anyway, she abandoned her kids for. Wait a minute, hold on. This is not correct. Hold on. A judge suspended communication privileges. Hold on just a second. Let me get this right. A judge suspended communication privileges for the mother accused of abandoning her kids 1 week after the appearance of flagrant violations of a court order. I don't know why they wrote that in there like that, but Kelly Bryant, this alleged mother that you guys see right here, will not be allowed to contact anyone from her jail cell following a virtual hearing Tuesday, Judge Cynthia Walker ordered. So here's what they found out. The mother of 3 kids who were found living in squalor in a Pontiac apartment for 5 years. Okay? 5 years. Had her jail communication privileges revoked for a week following concerns she had violated a court order. Bryant, the mother, was ordered to not have any contact with her children or caretaker. Let me say that again. She could not and knew that she could not contact the caretaker or the children, and she did anyway multiple times, right? The judge ruled during a bond redetermination hearing, I'm glad I caught that word, earlier in March. The Oakland County Prosecutor's Office said she had spoken to their caretaker 10 times over a 4-day period. She also allegedly asked other inmates to call the caretaker on her behalf, which is also a violation. Judge Walker said it appears to be a flagrant violation of a court order during a virtual hearing on Tuesday. I expect strict compliance with no contact provision, she said. It's unclear what details were discussed between Bryant and the caretaker, but the defendant's attorney confirmed there had been a discussion about appointments for the kids, but did not give any more information. She also said the mother, Bryant, had been using her communication privileges, which include a tablet and a phone, to attempt to pay her bond to be released from custody. Let's take a pause right there. This is the same mother who abandoned 3 children in this filthy, nasty, disgusting apartment that had trash filled as high in some areas as 4 foot tall, and abandoned them not for a day, not for a week, not for a month, not for multiple months, not for a year, not for 2 years, not for 3 years, not for 4 years. Literally abandoned 3 adolescent children for 5 years. The reason that I stress it and say it that way, of course, I'm not a news reporter, so if you came to hear the news, this ain't the freaking news. Go elsewhere if you came to hear the news. This is about keeping it real. This is coming from a father's perspective. And coming from me, this is the type of person that I think should never have access to children ever again. I think this whole thing is flat out ridiculous because what are you contacting them for? What are you contacting them for? You clearly wanted them to die. You wanted them to die and suffer and not ever be able to integrate in society properly. And you were selfish. So why do you care about the kids now that you're in jail? Why are you even contacting the person who is trying to raise these kids in your place and trying to raise them properly? What are you contacting them for? I think you'd have to be a special level of stupid. Just a special level of callous. You know what we call that? Hashtag babies for benefits, where people like this can actually get pregnant, lay up on their back, and receive semen from multiple men, anybody and everybody that will come in this chick and just create kids for no other reason than to collect benefits, whether that be Section 8 food stamps, car vouchers, child support, or even just for some freaking attention. That is what we call babies for benefits, and that is also a AFC hashtag that we created. So if you hear anybody say hashtag babies for benefits that comes from us, please give us credit for the things that we create. Skip the jail, send her straight to hell. This type of person, I don't even believe needs to, like, this is the type of thing I truly believe this person, this alleged mother, should actually get the death penalty for. What your actions did would have led to death. The death of 3 humans who could not speak for themselves nor defend themselves. And they definitely were not cared for or loved and did not have the capacity to help themselves. On top of that, she also lied to family members, friends, and probably the baby daddies as far as the status of these kids, and they weren't able to get access to them, and you didn't want to just give them up. You know why she didn't give them up? That's actually going to be the second part of the story. That's going to be the second part of the update. So put a pin in that. We'll come back to it. Her 3 children, who right now are ages 15, 13, and 12. So if you take 5 years away from that, that'd be 12, 11, 10, 9, 8. Wait, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7 years old, 8 years old, and I think 10 years old. 7, 8, and 10 years old. So if you want to know what age that this started, for everybody, because in the video I originally did, everybody kept asking what were the ages of the kids. 7, 8, and 10. 7, 8, and 10. So nobody misses that. They are currently 15, 13, and 12. They were found living alone in a Pontiac home that was filled with trash and human feces all over the freaking place. She was arrested while the children were placed with a family member, and that's the family member that she kept contacting. McDonald said the mother, Bryant, called the person taking care of the 3 children and called her, that person, I'm going to say not her, but that person 10 times over a 4-day period. She also allegedly had other inmates call the caregiver on her behalf as she attempted to discuss the children and her criminal case. Violation. Bryant is court ordered not to have contact with the children or their caregiver. They have a right, just like all victims under the Crime Victims' Rights Act, to be free of any influence or further trauma, right? If Bryant's communication privileges are revoked, she would no longer have access to phones or tablets in the jail and would be unable to call or video chat with anyone. So this mother, who was 34 years old, was charged with 3 counts of first-degree child abuse last month after her children were abandoned in the condo for 4 to 5 years. Okay? Bryant lived at another home. Let me say that again. She lived at another home and would occasionally drop food off at the home, which included cheap-ass pizzas. She would, I think they said she used DoorDash and probably some other means, but would just deliver food, drop food off, and then just leave them be. The children were found on February 14th after the condo's landlord requested a welfare check. Now, according to authorities, the landlord had not heard from the mother Bryant since December, and rent had not been paid. And again, I've said this before and I'll say it again. I think it's weird the fact that they don't come and do pest control. They don't come check the air conditioners, change out the air filters or anything like that. And all this time in 5 years, they never checked this apartment. I think that's ridiculous. I think all apartments ought to be subject to being checked maybe every couple months, but more often than never. Now, deputies arrived and found the home that was full of garbage that was piled as high as 4 feet in some rooms. The rooms were also covered in mold and human waste. The toilet was overflowing and the bathtub was full of human butt chunks. The children survived on food that was dropped off on the front porch each week by their mother or a stranger. And we're getting more details. Damn, did y'all catch that? Food was either dropped off by DoorDash, the mother, or a stranger. So if the stranger knew that they were just dropping food off, I think that person should also be investigated. If they lie or they're trying to help this woman, they asses should face prison time too. So keep that in mind. But they had no access to toilet paper or personal hygiene items. The sheriff said they were unfamiliar with personal hygiene and didn't even know how to flush a toilet. They also had not attended schools since she left them and instead passed time by watching TV or playing games. The sheriff said the girls had not been outside in several years. The boy slept on a mattress on the floor, but the 2 girls slept on empty pizza boxes. Y'all hear that? Empty pizza boxes. According to deputies, neighbors were unaware that the children lived in the home and had never seen them. They said they saw their mother at their home each month. The kids were all wearing soiled clothing with matted hair and toenails so long that they couldn't even walk properly. While being held at the jail on a $50,000 cash bond for the alleged child abuse, welfare fraud charges were brought against the mother. Are y'all ready for this update? They also are including welfare charges. Now, why would they be including welfare charges? How did she get welfare charges? According to McDonald, the mother, Bryant, was allegedly collecting public assistance from the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services that was intended to go for her children. This was happening while the children were living alone in these deplorable conditions. So let me see if this article gives any additional detail that we already haven't given. Oakland County Prosecutor Karen McDonald announced the charges against 34-year-old Marie. What is her name? Let me get her name again. Kelly Marie Bryant. 34-year-old Kelly Marie Bryant, saying that while she abandoned her children, she collected overpayments from the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services, which were obtained fraudulently. The defendant appears to have effectively abandoned her children while collecting their public assistance. This crime is, first and foremost, a theft from Kelly Bryant's children. These resources were intended to ensure that they had the basic necessities that were denied to them. The children deserved better. Let me see. According to the prosecutor's office, the mother received $29,397. $30,000. $30,000 for kids that she left to die. Now, do y'all see why my hashtag is so powerful? Hashtag babies for benefits. She collected $30K in 3 years. Welfare fraud over $500 brings a punishment of up to 4 years in prison and or a $5,000 fine. Bryant's bond was reduced to $50,000 on Friday, 2 weeks after it was initially set at $250 million to prevent her from bonding out. Now that even that doesn't make any sense. Like, how do you go from seeing this as a serious thing as a $250 million bond, which I'm just like, okay, whatever, just give her no bond. She's not going to pay $250 million. But then to go from that to drop it down to $50,000, to me, that just shows that they don't see this as being a serious thing. They don't see these human lives, these human kids, these black kids as being a very serious thing. If you're going to sit there and take a bond at $250 million, which is an insurmountable amount of money to be able to attain, to a measly $50K, which means she could get out on a bail bond of $5,000. Maybe somebody in the chat can maybe make that make some level of sense. Shout out to Tommy, by the way. Make that make sense. Anyway, she was arrested in February after authorities found 3 of her 4 children living in filth in that Pontiac condo. The other child was actually given away to the father, and the father was raising that kid, just so y'all know. Let's see here. Is there anything additional? That's all repeat information. Let's get into the video. I got a couple of news videos, and then we'll go from there. All right, here we go. Let's get it.
Federal law allows citizens to reproduce, distribute, or exhibit portions of copyrighted motion pictures, videotapes, or video discs under certain circumstances without the authorization of the copyright holder. This is called fair use. It is allowed for purposes of criticism, news reporting, teaching, and parody, which doesn't infringe of copyright under 17 U.S.C. 107.
Yeah, I feel you. She might not be able to afford a $50,000 bond or bail bondsman $5K, but I mean, somebody might be willing to pay it. And if she gets out, do y'all think she's going to leave them kids or the caretaker alone? No, she's not. She's clearly going to violate that order if she's already violating it in jail where she can be monitored. So what do you think she's going to do if she's not monitored? Right? She's going to do everything that she can to mess with this case, to mess it up, and then to further mess with those kids. You're going to act like you care now? That's weird, and she should never be allowed to get out of jail or be at risk, putting those kids at risk. But y'all, do me a favor. If you're listening, please hit that thumbs up. Make this story go viral yet again, please. All right? Let's go. I'm going to play a little bit of this video, and then we're going to skip to the rest.
Now for what's tipping the scales of justice, we've got 2 big developments in the case of the Michigan mother accused of abandoning her 3 children in a house of filth. That mom is now facing additional charges this morning, and her bond has been drastically lowered. Officials say that Kelly Bryant left her 3 kids alone for years inside of a dirty, feces-filled townhouse in Pontiac, Michigan. The local sheriff expressing outrage when it happened.
That's going to be a very long process to figure this all out, not just how they are both mentally and physically, but how did this ever happen, to have these kids fall through the cracks on so many levels with relatives, the community, and with schools.
Bryant's already charged with 3 counts of first-degree child abuse, and now she's charged with welfare fraud as well, as police say she was collecting nearly $30,000 in payments between 2022 and 2025, and certainly not using those payments to help her kids. Doesn't that make you sick? Let's talk about how that may tip the scales in this case. Still with me, attorney Casey Early, and I want to welcome in attorney and the former director of Family and Children's Services in the state of Georgia, Mr. Tom Rawlings. Great to have you both here. Tom, let me begin with you on this one. Your thoughts on this case as a whole, and also...
All right, our other top story on your Monday. The Oakland County prosecutor says the mother, who is accused of abandoning her 3 children for years, is directly violating court orders. They say Kelly Bryant should have her communication privileges revoked because she's called her children's caregiver multiple times, and that's something the judge said she could not do as she sits in the Oakland County lockup. Let's get out to Shantae Passmore. She's working the story, joins us live this evening. Shantae, the judge was pretty clear about this.
Yeah, he was. And so recently the prosecution filed this motion to ban all forms of communication. So who is the caregiver? Well, according to the defense, that would be Kelly Bryant's own father. And now they're challenging this restriction.
8 times. Oakland County prosecutors say that's how many times Kelly Bryant called the caregiver for 3 children between February 21st and March 7th. Between March 8th and the 12th, reportedly 10 times. The children are at the center of a child abuse case. The Pontiac mother is accused of leaving them to live alone for years. The home's condition described by authorities as deplorable. As part of her bond reduction, she was told to not have contact with the children and caregiver. Now, prosecutors are asking for a judge to revoke her communication privileges. Criminal defense attorney Lillian Diallo is not connected to the case, but says the people's motion is too severe.
And as a defense attorney, I would argue strenuously and vigorously for her being able to have contact, maybe not with the father now. You can cut that off if that's what you feel has been violated, but don't cut off her only means of communicating with the outside world.
Okay. Lord Jesus. Look, I get it. That's what defense attorneys do. But I'm just going to tell y'all, look, y'all see attorneys that drop off of cases all the time, right? For different reasons, for ethics reasons, or whatever the case is. Maybe just something in their soul just says, I don't want to have no part of this. But I'm going to back this up like a U-Haul truck just for a hot second. And I want y'all to see this woman's face. Lillian Diallo is not a good person. She clearly can't be a parent. She clearly can't be a good parent. And I don't know her from a sack of potatoes, but all I'm saying is how could she possibly be a good mother if she's going to sit there and say that you looked at this case, saw what this woman did, left her children to die, and you're worried about her communicating with the outside world? Who in the fuck do she need to talk to? She's trying to talk to the kids. She's trying to influence the case. That is exactly who she violated, abused, misused, did not give a shit about. And you would open your fat, ugly mouth to sit there and say that she has the right to communicate with these people, with these victims. Are you serious? Here's the thing that I absolutely hate about people like this. These are the same people that would take on a case, and I want y'all to hear me and excuse my language, but I get pissed off to the furthest point of pisstivity. Shout out to Mac Minister, by the way. The furthest point of pisstivity, because these are the type of attorneys, lawyers, or whatever the freak you want to call them, that will take on a case of a woman and said that a man violated her sexually, and you will sit there and try to throw this man under the bus, and you may or may not have the evidence to prove it. Matter of fact, let's just say if the man completely gets off, you will sit there and still argue your point that this woman was done wrong and the system is wrong and racism and sexism and you people are what do they call those, misogynists? They'll sit there and they'll talk about DEI, y'all. We need DEI back, y'all. These type of people. But when it comes to kids, where's the bleeding heart for the kids? And I'm going to finish playing this video, but I want to back this up so y'all can hear her statement. And I want to hear, where is the bleeding heart for for the children? Who is going to cry for the children? That is why I wear this shirt. That is why I speak these words. That is why I have this platform. This is why we're the advocates for children. I think that is why everybody is in the chat who likes to donate, who likes to chat, who likes to email me these stories. I believe that is why you guys are here. It's because that is the message that needs to get out to dummies like this. Girl, you should have your damn license revoked, checked, or like, I don't even know how you got as far as you did. Who books you? What cases have you won? This is freaking ridiculous. So I'm going to back it up and let's just see if she proves me wrong or if she proves me right. Let's hear this again.
Is not connected to the case, but says the people's motion is too severe.
And as a defense attorney, I would argue strenuously and vigorously for her being able to have contact, maybe not with the father now. You can cut that off if that's what you feel has been violated, but don't cut off her only means of communicating with the outside world.
In a response, Bryant's lawyer claims neither the mother nor her defense team had been served a written copy of the court's bond order. The defense claims the mom misunderstood the court's statement on the record and didn't realize there was a blanket prohibition from speaking to her father. Meanwhile, questions mount surrounding the case.
Somebody needs to say something about how these kids just were languishing for years, right? No what? No birthday, no Christmas, no Easter. Nobody asked where the kids are?
Again, that is the mother's responsibility. Whoever the custodial parent is, which in this goddamn case is the mother, that is on her. I hate when they keep pointing out. You want to point out the neighbors. You want to point out other family members. You want to point out the school. You want to point out the police. Point out the person who chose to get pregnant every 2 years and kept having kids. 4 of them. 4 separate pregnancies. She knew after the first. Matter of fact, she knew even before she got pregnant, she couldn't afford to take care of herself, let alone getting pregnant and having the first kid, and she could not provide for that kid. Then you turn around and have a second one, knowing that you couldn't provide for that kid. Then you have a third, then you have a fourth. So you're exacerbating a problem, but then you want to point the finger at everybody else. No, the problem is the person who is creating this situation, which is the mother, which is why the crown that lays on the head of the person who is the head of all of these decisions is the most important person in these scenarios. That is where the greatest responsibility should be held. This is why I do not like when people talk about we're equal. This is why I don't like people talking about accountability, right? Huh? Y'all hear me? Hello. Because when it's time for these people to be held accountable, you create excuses. She should have access to be able to talk to the outside world. For what? Women like her should be on death row. Women like her should be standing in front of a firing squad or a gas chamber or the electric chair or thrown off a cliff somewhere. She should not have reproductive rights or organs or let alone phone calls. And even if you did not know, I didn't know I couldn't contact the person who's taking care of the kids that I abandoned. What would you contact them for? You left them to die. You wanted them to die. You didn't give a damn if they lived or died. So why would you contact the person who has your kids? That is just common sense. Common sense would tell you that if you, did a drive-by on somebody, to give a very, very harsh scenario, common sense would tell you that if you're in jail, that you shouldn't contact the person or the person who's caretaking the person that you did a drive-by on. That would be common damn sense. But you know what? Again, you're talking about people creating excuses, and this is what I think continues to perpetrate retardation in the black community and no accountability, because you have people like this who continue to just create excuses out of thin freaking air. Did I say anything that was wrong? Did I say anything that maybe hurt your feelings? Not really worried about the feelings. I'm just worried about, did I say something that was factually inaccurate? Please tell me if I didn't. If I did, please let me know.
And we did get a hold of the defense team, but we were told they had no comment. They do believe that there should be no contact with the children, but as for the overall restriction with communication overall, that's something they are challenging. Meanwhile, Bryant is expected to appear in court later this month. We're reporting live tonight.
Here's something else I thought about. So if we want to challenge that she didn't get the paperwork, so what, she didn't get the damn paperwork? And thank y'all. Please hit that thumbs up. If y'all agree with what I'm saying, please hit that thumbs up. It'll bring more people here. It's very simple to help us. If you can donate, cool. If you can't, all you got to do is hit the thumbs up and leave a comment, subscribe to the channel. That helps us so much. It helps us more than you know. Trust me. Even if you did not get the physical papers in your hand, or your court-appointed attorney or whoever you have representing you didn't get the papers in hand, one thing that I know is before they put you in jail is they're going to tell you, and they're going to read off what your charges are and what your restrictions are. You guys have watched many, many court videos. Some of y'all, if y'all can attest to what I'm saying, please acknowledge that in the chat. Before the judge sends you off to jail, they will tell you what you can't do and who you cannot contact. And you have to acknowledge that before they send you off. So even if you didn't have a copy of the papers in your hand, unless you were just as dense as it possibly gets, then you at least heard it. Whether you gave a damn or not is a whole different deal, right? No contact with the victims. They will always tell you that. Every judge tells you that. Almost like every police officer is supposed to tell you about your Miranda rights before they arrest you. So we would hope that number would be 100%. I know it ain't always 100%. So we do want to leave some room for error, but I would hope that every judge would tell every person who is accused of a crime of inflicting damage on someone or perpetrating a crime against someone that you cannot contact them. So she heard it. She just didn't give a damn.
Access denied. The mom accused of abandoning her 3 children for years inside a Pontiac home has her phone access revoked.
They say you are to have no the way that they word it is you are to have no contact with the victims.
Now that comes after prosecutors say Kelly Bryant called the caregiver of her children.
They say you are to have no contact with the victims, directly or indirectly. I think that's kind of how they word it, right? He said, Jay, keep your foot on their neck. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. So I want y'all to also think about this. She continued to try to contact that same caretaker by having another inmate contact that person on her behalf. So she knows what she's doing. She don't give a damn. And every bit of her actions proves that. Let's keep going.
Some 20 times. Thanks everyone for joining us. I'm Karen Drew in for Kimberly Gill tonight.
And I'm Ty Steele. The judge's decision late this afternoon comes as Bryant sits in that Oakland County jail. So far, she's been unable to post that $50,000 cash bond. Let's go live now to Shantae Passmore in Pontiac with the very latest. Good evening, Shantae.
Yeah, good evening, Ty and Karen. You know, the court hearing, very brief. The judge said she found it baffling that Kelly Bryant reportedly enlisted the help of other inmates to call the children's caregiver on her behalf. Now tonight, she's setting the record straight on what she expects moving forward.
Would you state your name for the record, please?
Kelly Marie Bryant. Should Kelly Bryant be allowed to communicate with the outside world? Oakland County prosecutors say not after she reportedly violated her bond. The court told the Pontiac mom to not contact her children and their caregiver. The 34-year-old, accused of abandoning her 3 kids, allegedly called her caregiver multiple times from jail. Bryant also reportedly enlisted some help.
Your Honor, my concern is twofold. First, that Ms. Bryant defied the court's order on 3/7/2025 with the no contact, but also is now circumventing Oakland County Jail's rules and having other inmates contact on her behalf.
However, Bryant's lawyer claims the mother remained unaware of not being able to call the caregiver. Her team claims neither they nor Bryant received a written copy of the court's bond order. The defense making it clear the mom did not inquire about the kids and ask for the judge to deny the motion.
I am telling the court that there's not going to be any other issues. There will not be any other issues. They can monitor her from now until eternity, and she will not violate the court's orders.
During the brief hearing, the judge said orders aren't suggestions. They need to be followed if there is another violation.
The court will schedule an emergency hearing within 24 hours of receiving notice of a violation.
The judge says now she believes both Bryant and her defense team understand the terms of the bond. Still, she feels the violation was very flagrant, and that is why she temporarily suspended the mother's communication privileges for 1 week.
We begin with the fight to revoke communication privileges for the Pontiac mother accused of abandoning her children in deplorable conditions for years. Thank you for joining us for 7 News Detroit at 6. I'm Mike Duffy.
And I'm Whitney Burney. Oakland County Prosecutor Karen McDonald filed the motion to restrict Kelly Bryant's phone access.
Now, Bryant is under a court order to have no contact with.
So here's something else that I think is quite interesting. Actually, I guess, so if she's under a court order to not have contact with the children, do y'all know that that's actually a record that we can actually look up if it's a public record? You could log in to the website and pull that record up and see that she has a no contact order with the kids, I believe. Maybe I could be wrong about that. But if we can find that, then don't you think her defense attorney could also find that same information? Here's another thing I was also thinking about. All calls are recorded. We know that. So it's like, why don't they have it to where when they do stuff like this, pull up the transcripts or transcribe it and put out there exactly what she said to these people that were holding on to her kids? Or maybe have somebody read it and then give us the context of what was said, like give us the temperature in the room. You see what I'm saying? Like you could actually look at that, look at the transcript and be like, yep, she was definitely trying to tell them kids not to say anything, not to testify or something. There has to be something in there that they heard. Maybe it's too early. Maybe they can't release that. But I'm hoping that they have that to be able to put in the transcripts whenever they actually charge her. Because I think she needs a life sentence in prison. She shouldn't have any more rights after what she did to them kids. Anyway, if she, what did you say? You said, if she didn't know, why did she have others make the phone calls? I said that earlier, and you're 100% right. So it's like that confirms that she knew what she was doing was wrong. I 100% agree. Shout out to you, bro. 100%.
With her children or her father, who is the caregiver for her children. But the prosecutor's office says that she called her father 10 times between March 8th and 12th, allegedly discussing her criminal case with her children.
7 News Detroit reporter Sarah Michaels has been following this case for us. Tonight, she is learning more from the prosecutor's office and sharing new information in an exclusive interview with Bryant's ex-boyfriend.
It's a very serious crime. It's a very serious crime.
Oakland County Prosecutor Karen McDonald says that she is shocked after learning that 34-year-old Kelly Bryant allegedly called her children's caregiver 10 times between March 8th and 12th. It is also alleged that Bryant had other inmates call the caregiver for her, a direct violation of Bryant's court orders.
Are you worried that when Miss Bryant made contact with the children's caregiver, she was also able to make contact with her children?
We're absolutely concerned about that. That's why the only way to make sure that doesn't happen is to revoke her telephone privileges.
McDonald's office has now filed a motion seeking to revoke Bryant's communication privileges. Bryant is facing 3 counts of first-degree child abuse.
I guess I don't understand. Like, why does it seem like everybody's working so hard to make sure that she's treated well and has all of her rights and privileges. Like, why? Like, can't you just turn a blind eye to this? Okay, she calling people she shouldn't be calling. Leave it at that. That is definitively what she did, whether she knew it or not, and kill her phone privileges. That's simple.
For allegedly abandoning 3 of her children, ages 15, 13, and 12, for nearly 5 years. They're children that Bryant's ex-boyfriend, Taekwon Vining, tells me he thought were living with their father. He spoke exclusively to 7 News Detroit over the phone.
Mind-boggling, because you never see no signs in how she talk about her kids and how well-mannered and stuff they is.
She said that her children are well-mannered?
Yeah.
Vining tells me that he was dating Bryant in the months leading up to her arrest. According to him, Bryant was living at his grandfather's home just minutes away from where the children were abandoned. She was working as his grandfather's caregiver.
Yeah, she was good. She said she didn't like babies no more. She was over that. Her kid's old enough. She don't got to worry about that.
Vining also said that Bryant was close with her dad, who is now the children's caregiver, the person that it is alleged Bryant has been reaching out to. I asked Vining what Bryant said to him after her arrest. He said that she just said, sorry.
That was her fault for leaving them kids in that house.
Now, if the prosecutor's motion is granted, Bryant would lose all phone and video communication privileges. In Pontiac.
So I was thinking about that also. What you just said in the chat, you said so the ex-boyfriend didn't know anything. That's very suspect too. So here's the crazy thing about it. In my opinion, I just think that if he gets caught up in this, which I think he probably should, because I think he definitely knew something was up. I'm not going to sit there and date a woman knowing that she got kids and I never see the kids. Like, I know I'm all about protecting the kids, but realistically, you never see them. Y'all don't go out to dinner. Y'all don't go out for birthdays. Y'all don't go out, pick them up from school together. Like, what kind of, how are you dating a woman and never see her kids? You never see her kids. You don't see no pictures of her kids. Nothing. You have no actual evidence of her kids, and she just tell you they good. That makes absolutely no sense. But it seems like the courts will probably come down even harder on the boyfriend than they do the actual mother who perpetrated all of this. I think it's flat out ridiculous. I think she should lose all her privileges. It's like she did everything that you could possibly do wrong. Everything you could possibly do wrong as a human being. These are the type of people that should get no sympathy. Okay? So we'll continue to follow this. If anything else comes up, we'll definitely talk about it. But those are my opinions. If y'all disagree with anything I'm saying, we got a chat. Please type it in the chat. And just be honest. It's okay if people disagree with you, but type it in the chat and let's have an honest discussion with each other. Hit that thumbs up, like, share, and subscribe to AFC Podcast. We're going to continue to keep putting the children first and not putting somebody's feelings and outside communication first. Like, who gives a damn?